Thursday. Hope you guys are well, and it's a beautiful day, actually. I know that yesterday we didn't really sit down to have a conversation, but I'm back so that we can chat. All right, we can talk. Wait a minute. I'm so glad to see everyone. I'm really glad. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and make sure that you ring the bell. And to my regulars, I want to say shout out to you guys. What's up, y'all? Come, let's have a conversation. Also, like the live so that we can push algorithm and invite other people to this conversation. Zimbabweans need to come together and begin to converse. It's very, very important. I've never seen a house where people stay without communicating. No, let's come together and fix this. I want to tell you, I have a friend of mine who sent me a very, very painful message. He literally said to me, Nessa, good to see you, man. Shout out to you. He said to me, Zimbabweans, you're not serious. You keep leaving the country. You keep leaving the country instead of coming together and make sure that you fix your own country, because no one is going to fix it except us, which I agree. Mostly good to see you. Because if I can look at family setup, a family setup, marriage setup, you really can't expect to succeed if you don't converse. It's not possible. You must come together all the time and talk, have a conversation, But Zimbabweans will say, no, this is not for me. I'm not a politician. No, you and I, we're all politicians. I'll tell you why. Because we vote. We may not be leaders, but we're in politics already. The fact that we go in and drop our own, vote, it says we are politicians. So don't lie and say, I'm not a politician, but you complain that there's no clean water. You complain that there's no electricity. You already a politician. What's up, y'all? Good to see everyone. Like the live, please, in your numbers so that we push algorithm and have this conversation, very strong conversation. By the way, guys, I think we are suffering from a culture of collecting. I don't know how to put it across. A culture of collecting that we've built over the years. People are not living. Each and every person is just in search of something. I'm building a house. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. So now people are just collecting. I literally saw in Shurugwi, I don't know if you guys see, that I heard that the Chinese are busy on that land. Pablo Duka. Yes. I may not understand much about mining, but yeah, the scenes are not great. Makomba everywhere in the country. People are just collecting. No one is fixing anything. They'll collect and leave Makomba. We'll move on to the next place. We'll collect Makomba. You ask yourself questions. Murugusira Makomba and Murugusira. Murugusira and Makomba. All right, so the president yesterday commissioned a business. It's called Champion Foods. But this morning actually realized that the Champion Foods is apparently it's being owned by Douglas Kwande and Comrade Patrick Mnangagwa. So it's also Mnangagwa's family that maybe has shares or owns, this Champion Foods business. And we've seen a lot of things going on within that camp, which I think tonight we're going to be pursuing that topic, an issue of the dynasty that people are discussing about. I saw a tweet now that I don't want to touch much on it, and where it was saying that the goal really, this is simply speculation that was dropped by Hope Chingono, that the goal is to make sure that they do away with citizens voting for a president, but rather the parliament vote for a president. And I'm saying, oh, that makes a bit of sense, because remember, our members of parliament across the country, majority of them were recalled. So I guess that's the mission. We will literally look into that message a little bit later on. Let's now focus on the business of the day. All right, so the two people that are trending right now is Nelson Chamisa and Hope Chingono. So first and foremost, Nelson Chamisa is trending because people are asking questions. Where are the other Triple C faction that were supposed to rotate in terms of presidential drive? We haven't heard anything from President Nume for the other function of Triple C. We haven't heard nothing from him. Maybe we'll hear someone when it's Hode or Tandai. We're just waiting. But Hope watching on it was his birthday. So yeah, shout out to Hope watching on it. Happy birthday to you. He said he turned 53. Getting younger by day. Actually, 53, you're still young, brother. You're a kid. You're a kid on the block, yo. Very funny and interesting. I saw an interesting cartoon circulating where people say since the resignation of Advocate Nelson Chamisa, Kwande is so sparse these days. People are struggling. There's no content. You know, I don't know who's struggling because we always have something to talk about. So, but on that cartoon, there was actually Hope watching on sitting there. There was also Linda Masarira. There was someone scratching. That should be Mutule Ngove. I was also Jonathan Moyo. You know, with his essays from exile, he writes a lot when it comes to Nelson Chamisa. And there was a Ruben Bar was sleeping. There's no content because Chamisa resigned and other people. Matigari is one of the most active ZANU PF Varakashi on Twitter, on X, and also the Facebook Varakashi. They have nothing to do because Chamisa is nowhere to be found. There is a guy that I've been following very closely. It's a ghost account. The moment Chamisa tweets something, that person responds immediately with so much kind of a counter-intelligence, playing people. But you remember, we are 20 times ahead of the devil. So it's a dog-eat-dog, y'all. Quite interesting. All right, so you saw, I told you the ambassador that we're having a challenge for cooking, which went well, like gun blazing. It really went well on social media, actually. Went pretty much well. I'm not gonna lie. So these guys that were, you know, competing, apparently the person that won, people didn't even expect that ambassador to win. They had fallen in love with an ambassador of the British ambassador, and you know. And then Hopo had to use that analogy, talking and also try to kind of addressing politics at the same time. So he is sending a message yesterday. Again, that caused a bit of a stir yesterday on Twitter. He said the recently held Team Flozim, which was that ambassador cook-off competition, offered numerous lessons for those who followed it. It took me back to my psychology and sociology classes at journalism school, where we learned about politics and populism. We actually had a module on populism. There is no doubt that if the cook-off competition had been judged based on who cooked the food, the British ambassador could have won due to his charm and popularity. However, the shrewd King Jezim, who was the guy, you know, he's literally the founder of all these cook-off challenge. He is the founder of that drive. Understood that the competition was about the quality of the dish and not about the cooked it. And about who cooked it, sorry. The same principle then applied to politics yields similar results. If the British ambassador had won, it would have been due to his popularity and not the quality of his grace. Zimbabwe faced a similar situation in 1980 when the better leader Joshua Ngomo didn't win. He was not popular, but was by far the best leader. Even the late Joshua Tongogara had said so before his untimely death. Human beings, particularly here in Zimbabwe, often vote based on charm and popularity rather than substance. This is why King Jezim demanded that the food should be submitted to Team Flozim and posted without the names of the ambassadors attached to it. I'd never heard of WFP Zimbabwe representative undo the competition. She won based on the quality of the dish she produced. In a national election, she should have lost because she was not as popular as the British ambassador. In sociology, the principle of people voting for popularity instead of meritocracy is when voters or simply citizens choose candidates, produce or ideas based on their popularity or likability rather than their actual merit or qualifications. In politics or elections, this means voters select a candidate not because of their policies, experience or abilities, but simply because the candidate is well charismatic and says what they want to hear without capacity to deliver. This preference for popularity over meritocracy leads to the election of leaders who lack the necessary skills or qualifications for the job. This is often driven by emotional appeal, social or media influence, and peer coercion. The psychological principle of people voting for popularity instead of substance or meritocracy can be understood through social proof. Social proof was popularized by psychologist Robert Cialdini. He said that people often look to others to guide their behavior, especially when they are uncertain. The fact that the British ambassador was popular due to his charm would have swayed uncertain voters to vote for him because others were doing so. When voters see a candidate gaining popularity or support from others, they are inclined to follow suit, assuming that their candidate must have some merit if others are endorsing him. This is similar to cognitive bias, popularly known as the bandwagon effect in psychology. It is a tendency for the people to do or believe things simply because others are doing or believing the same. In the voting context, individuals jump on the bandwagon of a popular candidate without critically assessing their qualifications or policies. If Tim Flozim had used an open vote with the names of the ambassadors, again, the British ambassador would have won, and the Pakistan ambassador who made it to the finals would have come last. In psychology, the Pakistan ambassador would have suffered from what is called familiarity bias. Many Zimbabweans didn't know him and were more familiar with the British ambassador. Voters prefer things that they are familiar with. A candidate who is well known due to media exposure, name recognition, or previous positions will seem more trustworthy or capable, even if their cooking qualifications are not top-notch. The same applies to politics and voting. This then leads to confirmation bias, meaning once you form an opinion about someone or a candidate, you only want information that confirms your opinion and nothing else. Okay. So he's simply saying, and I know what he was addressing, because immediately it was, grabbed by those who were on X and began to run with it. You can hear, and you know how X went on yesterday. It was terrible because people started saying, "Here you go again. It's about Nelson Chamisa." But let me say this. I guess there is a problem apart from the Nelson Chamisa and politics thing. Zimbabweans, we do have a problem. We do have a problem because we think everything about us has to boil down to a politician. Okay, politicians are simply people who are seeking to be in leadership. Fair play, we support them. If you like it, some people may support President Mnangagwa, some can support Chamisa, some can support Leader Masara. We have different politicians in the country, but we must never forget that there's one person that is very much popular, is Nelson Chamisa. So the moment you drop such an analogy, immediately it clicks in people's minds that, oh, you're referring to Chamisa. Don't forget what played recently when it comes to the recalls. And people have seen how much of a force that came immediately after elections just tried to do away with Chamisa. People saw it. So first and foremost, Zimbabwe is not a fair play when it comes to politics. So we need to be sensitive, and also to be fair as far as that is concerned. It's one thing to say Zimbabwe, whenever we do our elections, everything is free and fair. There's no violence, there's no fight. So when people choose, maybe they need to be informed before they make a decision. If Zimbabwe was the same as South Africa today, South Africans are sitting and they really do diligence such to say, this person cannot be a leader because of 1, 2, 3, 4 things. I do remember one of my client, an advocate, we're talking one day and she said, she can see that Malema is loved by the young people, but she said she had her own reasons for him not to be a president. She felt like he didn't have the decency to be a president. That was her. She did not talk about the violence. She was talking about he cannot, meet the presidential class that is required. He's loved by the young people. He sometimes talk the good game, but when we come to look at the way he acts as a person, in terms of character, bastardizing people, swearing at people, you can't be a leader like that. It's difficult as a president. This was her own opinion. But there are other people who see him being an incredible leader. Do you get what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is we don't have such in Zimbabwe. So to start with, let's have a normal country. Our country is not normal. It's not normal because we are not normal, right? Zimbabweans, we aren't normal. We are not prepared to have that conversation, but it's a fact. Until we realize that we are not behaving like other people behave. And I've always been telling you, because I love girls, because I'm a woman, and I've seen how women are struggling to be feminine. Zimbabwean women struggle to be feminine because they're working so hard like men do. But our parents, they knew that they'd positioned to be a wife, and the men could go and work. Things have changed. Women are working, men are working, everyone is struggling. Men can't even make ends meet on their own. So until we resolve our fundamental issues, we will never have a normal conversation. People are always going to bastardize. Even if you speak something that makes sense, they will attack you. They will attack you because we have fundamentals that needs to be resolved. Let's work on fixing our country so that we can start having a proper conversation. Without that, sorry, it won't work. Unfortunately, it won't work. You and I, we need to start, working on or working towards making sure that we have a normal country where everyone is treated the same. Everyone is treated the same. Where we can speak truth to power and confront people when they do wrong, and without no consequences, and without being harassed, threatened by your own brothers. It's the toxicity that is worse than our challenges that we have. Us choosing a leader means nothing, right? Imagine if the votes were being respected since 2000. Where will we be today? So we are attacking the wrong people. Let's deal with the people that are keeping us at ransom. Those are the ones that we need to deal with. Not the ones on social media are desperate for a normal society. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. No, Zimbabweans are very much aware of what to do. They're very much aware of what to do moving forward. They know how to assess a leader. I'll tell you why. Majority of Zimbabweans are very smart. The issue is not that. It's more to do with a moral decay. When I say moral decay, I say the family structure that we ruined by greedy. We are a society that believes in collecting than eating or living. Everyone, as we speak, people are not living. They're simply collecting. One day, I don't know if you guys remember a video that was circulating. I remember the first time they started giving cars to celebrities. Do you recall a video that was circulating towards elections, which was the president's kids, was Emerson Jr., they were the twins, Sean and Collins, sitting with some celebrities, and they were sitting around a buffet, and they were literally eating and dishing food. The way I saw people eat that day, I wanted to cry in my house when I was watching. And nobody was exempted. People were eating like that was their first time to see food. Very humiliating and embarrassing. In my, honestly, because I have been very, very on a close proximity with a lot of South African celebrities. They are very classy. They're very classy. Like when they're eating a meal, they don't do like, honestly, yeah, we must gonna say things as they are because we don't want to say it as they are. We must say things as they are. South Africans and Zimbabweans are not the same because South Africans are exposed to stuff. I saw celebrities eating like that's their first time to see food. And I cried, I remember that day. Emotionally, I was pumped. Like to say, God, is this the Zimbabwe that we are building? It's sad. And bear in mind, there was the president's kids there, right? There was Junior was there. There was Collins and Sean. If I'm not mistaken, was it? But were they both the twins? Please bear with me if I still remember correctly, but I remember one of the twins was there. The way people were eating, like that was their first time to see food. I wish I can see that video. I'll be want to show you the video. Bear in mind, I want to say shout out to Elliot, actually. So Elliot, one of my friends who stays in the United States of America, he literally went out of his way and make sure that we have the software that can help you guys to now see the videos. So we are working on it. So very soon now, you're going to be able to see all the videos that you've been crying for. So we're good. With Canon, we pumped it. We had to do what we could to connect to my camera so that at least you guys are able to have the best, visuals ever. So we're coming. We're coming, y'all. We're coming. We hear you whenever you complain. We hear you very well. So that's why this past day, I've been very busy on that. All I'm just saying is we need to be a normal country. Sad. The way we are collecting, we're just focusing on collecting. Most of the people in the diaspora are only working. I want to build. I'm like, hold on. You need to leave. Some have lost their marriages because they're focusing. They don't spend time with their family. They don't have time to say, it's my husband and my wife. Let's enjoy ourselves and my children. No, they can't spend money on themselves. They're spending money on Zidina, Nemavu, because we created a society of desperation. I don't know if I'm making sense. A society that I may not have tomorrow. you know, machana rugu achituta, achisia makomba. Who's going to close them? We're not asking questions, guys. That tuta. It's a spirit that has taken over our nation. And if we don't deal with it, I don't know how we're going to end up, because it's sad to watch. Than to say, let's relax, let's chill, right? Let's have a solution. We don't focus on having a solution to a problem. We have been sitting with this money problem for decades. It's known. For decades, right? We didn't have our own, we don't have our own currency. Now I'm talking about a strong currency, not bond binir. Strong currency. We pretend like we don't see it, right? Every day. You tell me we can't sit around the table, Zimbabweans, across the country, and say, until we have a solution from this room, we are not leaving. Why can't we do it? Because there are people who are keeping us at ransom for their own benefits. Are you telling me we can't sit down around the table and have a currency of our own, a strong currency of our own? I just want to understand, are you telling me Zimbabweans, all our wisdom, all these intelligent men that we have, the way that we are shining all over the world, we cannot sit around the table and have a solution? We can. Why aren't we? That should be the question that we need to ask each other. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about Xavier Kasukuwere and the issue of that you saw on the headline, that some of his people that supported him during the elections were kicked out of ZANU-PF by the president. But I wanted to know, by the president and some of the leaders in ZANU-PF, of course, if you disrespected the leadership in ZANU-PF, you're out. You know what I mean? You cross the line. But don't forget, Kasukuwere is not in ZANU-PF. He never contested. Remember, he never contested. But one thing, when I was doing my research, because I wanted to really understand the relationship between President Emmerson Mnangagwa and Kasukuwere, because it's a very interesting conversation I think we should be having. Honestly, when I saw it on the campaign trail, that was about 8 years ago, President Emmerson Mnangagwa and Xavier Kasukuwere were very close. Were really, really close as brothers. I saw it. You could see them sometimes the pictures when they were laughing together. But the way Xavier Kasukuwere supported President Emmerson Mnangagwa on his campaign trail 8 years ago was phenomenal. Phenomenal. He would introduce him talking about his resume, saying about how incredible he is and how he has worked in the government for a long time and doing such incredible work. This was Kasukuwere speaking a good game, trying to push for President Emmerson Mnangagwa. And there was a day where they were having a conversation, and that conversation was interesting. The president was talking about President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Then he was not a president; he was then a minister, an MP. He was actually campaigning to be an MP. He was talking about how they would push back all the complaints for the opposition, but then prioritizing those of ZANU-PF. And I remember after that, he was saying, Pamberi. And then Xavier came out and he was also endorsing the same thing. Why I'm saying this, I'm going somewhere so that you understand. We need to be very careful of supporting wrong, because there will be consequences in future. And I'm speaking to all the young people today. Be it you are in a political party, part of a political party, be it you're part of a business, a group of a business people in Zimbabwe, you call them binga, whatever the case may be, and you're pushing a wrong narrative for your personal gain. Let me warn you, there will be consequences. If we don't learn from what's going on around us, then we are not ready to actually grow. Because I'm looking at the way Xavier Kasukuwere was supporting President Emmerson Mnangagwa, even when the things that he was saying were wrong at that time. He was supporting because he was in the ZANU-PF space, right? But he's the same person who was bound to actually competing. I'm trying to build something here to say, and I'm saying this across Zimbabwe. I don't care you are a leader, you're not a leader, you are a Zimbabwean who's walking on the street. You must remember, if you're supporting wrong, there will be consequences. I hope you're ready to deal with those consequences in future. If you are supporting, seeing someone is being murdered or seeing someone being hurt, seeing someone being treated badly, and you're thinking it's right, there will be consequences in future. It's a matter of principle. I wish I could speak to Xavier. I'm like, you see, if you did not support wrong that time, maybe we'll be talking a different story today. But y'all, when wrong was happening next to you, you were not saying a word. This is to speak to everyone who's in ZANU-PF today, or any other political party, even Triple C as well. You saw what happened. And this is why I'm saying our problem as Zimbabwean problem. They are not political. As Zimbabwean problem, it's our nature, it's our character of allowing wrong to happen in the neighbor, and we say, I don't care because it's not me. We are selfish. We're a selfish community. Maybe we're talking a different story because we are talking today about some of these people who support him being kicked out. It means it's a battle within the ZANU-PF arena. But he was a same person who stood and supported him when he was campaigning to be the member of parliament. People can forget so easily, right? I wish we can learn one or two things. That every time we do wrong, it comes with cost. It definitely comes with a cost. It breaks my heart when I think about a Zimbabwean situation because, it's one thing for us to deal with this situation in family level, but it's worse when you deal with it from a national level. When I say national level is when people that we expect to be leading with truth, expect to shape our society in the right direction, are spearheading evil and spearheading wrong, hoping that they'll get away with it. That's very scary. That's why I'm saying pastors in Zimbabwe are even more toxic. Not all majority are not honest to speak truth into power and say, if you are claiming that we are a Christian nation, that you are claiming we are, you have seen it later when they were addressing the issue of homosexuality, that VP, which is the vice president, Constantino Chiwenga, sent out a letter and said, we are a Christian nation. It's on record. We're a Christian nation. Are we behaving like Christians in Zimbabwe? Are we? Because Christianity is about living like Jesus. Jesus was compassionate. Jesus was truthful. Jesus was loving. Jesus was fair. Jesus was a man of justice. Justice was Jesus. Jesus was compassionate. Jesus could share. Jesus preferred his neighbor. Are we behaving like Jesus? So we better not claim that we're a Christian nation because our behavior do not resemble Jesus, do not even align with Christianity. So let's start right there. It's deception. People are faking, people are liars. People are not honest. When are we going to sit down and really be honest with ourselves? We're only Christians when the conversation does not suit us. But we can see Jesus could never allow what we are seeing in the country. People come in to run down our nation, pull all the resources into their countries and leave our people starving. Jesus will not allow that. So that's Christianity. Yeah. That is Christianity. So Newsday reported that Kasukuwere's ghost is warning ZANU-PF, so it's warning President Emmerson Mnangagwa as the Politburo endorses Chipanga's return. So Kasukuwere, some of his leaders were completely removed. So the article reads as follows: President Emmerson Mnangagwa has cracked the whip on errant ZANU-PF top officials whom he either suspended or are expelled from the party, accusing them of backing former President Komiza Xavier Kasukuwere's presidential bid ahead of the August 23rd harmonized elections. Kasukuwere was, however, barred from contesting in the elections by the court on the grounds that he had resided outside of Zimbabwe for more than 18 months, hence was no longer a registered voter. Former ZANU-PF Mutare North legislator Batre Pemenai, right, who lost in ZANU-PF primary elections last year, has been shown the exit door. Pemenai lost in the internal polls to Admire Mahachi. Godfrey Tsenenkam, a former ZANU-PF youth boss, told journalists a few months before the election that they had mobilized disgruntled ZANU-PF members to rally behind Kasukuwere's candidature. He cited Pemenai, whom he said was recruited to mobilize support in Malikaland province. In a letter dated the March 7th in the opposition of Newsday, ZANU-PF Secretary General Obed Mpov confirmed the expulsion of Pemenai. The letter says to advise you that the Politburo sitting on the 372 second ordinary session on February 29th, 2024 endorsed the National Disciplinary Committee decision to expel you from the party with immediate effect, the letter read. The decision was arrived at after the National Disciplinary Committee had found you guilty of disciplinary offences prescribed in the ZANU-PF Party Constitution's Articles 37, Section 549, subsection 9, 12, and 16. Pemenai is not new to controversy. He was once convicted and sentenced for assaulting former ZANU-PF Manicaland Provincial Chairman Mike Madiro's personal assistant Wilson Nyamante. The Politburo also recommended the suspension of Manicaland Provincial Women's League Chairperson Happiness Nyakwezwa. You have been suspended from holding any leadership position in the party for a period of 2 years with immediate effect. Suspension is in accordance with the amended ZANU-PF Constitution, Article 36, Section 531, subsection 4. Read the letter signed by Mupofu. Nyakwezwa was accused of insulting ZANU-PF Women's League Secretary for External Affairs, Betty Kaseke. She's also accused of misusing party resources in Manicaland September project, among other allegations. Meanwhile, the Politburo has endorsed the readmission of former Youth League leader Kudzai Chipanga. Chipanga was fired from ZANU-PF in 2017, together with several other members aligned to the G4 cabal, following the oyster of then-President Robert Mugabe in a military coup. According to the letter, Chipanga is now free to contest for any party position. I think I remember that lady who was talking around the president when he visited Mozambique, if I'm not mistaken. She should be the one, Chipanga, yes. And there was a bit of conversations immediately after she came out, saying she was apologizing the way she acted. She said it was not her fault. Again, deception. I've said to you, it's said to really watch. My heart breaks with the lack of principles and values that most of our people have. It's kugenda wind ndokwa tunoendera nditi kana wind yakwenda kundokwa tunoendera. But the problem with being an unstable person is you will never live your life of your own. Let me drink water. If you lack values and principles, you never live a life of your own. Let me explain you why. Because everything will look like it. So let's go to the north, you are there. Oh no, come back, let's go to the south, you follow. Because you lack principles and values. You have nothing to stand for. And the majority of Zimbabweans are in that category. Only Zimbabweans will resolve the country. I've never seen a marriage that is unstable, where they expect another person to come and then resolve their marriage. No. The married people together should sit head on and resolve their marriage. Without them participating in changing their behavior, nothing works. Until Zimbabweans, we change our behavior, nothing works. It's a principle. We cannot expect SADC to come through and help us to do what? They're helping us to do what? When we can deceive each other. What do you expect them to do? South Africans have got a problem. They've got their own issues. They're politicians. I don't know how many political parties are contesting this year because their goal is to remove ANC. I don't know how many. Right? But you know what? If things are wrong in the country, they'll sit around the table and say, we need to do it for the sake of this country. We must look at each other and say, why can't we sit down around the table and have a conversation? What is it about us that we can't have a dialogue? That will be the question that we need to. It is us, the problem, more than anyone else. Decades of not resolving a money problem. Decades. Sad. It's very sad. So yesterday I went to the bank. I'll tell you a story. I'm minding my business. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for, you're in the queue. I'm waiting for my time. So while I'm waiting for my time, there was a couple next to me. Okay. They were talking. So, my ears are open. Huh? I'm hearing this couple, they're talking. So the wife is next to me, but she's very calm in his. Have you ever dealt with a person who's very loud in a place that is a public place? And instead of you letting the person, you are trying to bring them down, but just make sure you speak so, calmly. So the man is sounding very angry. And this man is angry. He's talking about his daughter. I can hear, speaking Zulu, so I can hear very well. He's talking about his daughter, and he's very upset. He's claiming that the daughter is almost changing her surname because of him. He's angry. I love my child. And the woman is keep on talking. So she just said to him, and she's asking very softly to that man, answering him. But I could hear this conversation carrying on. This man is really angry. And then I said to him, excuse me. I said, excuse me, do you want me to say, can I say something, please? After I greeted him, I said, oh, go ahead. I said, if I was your child, I would have done exactly what your child is doing. Then he looked at me. I said, you just heard me correctly, sir. He said, but why? I said, because of the way you're talking. You sound like an angry man. That if you were my daddy, I'll do exactly what your daughter is doing. How old is your daughter? No, my daughter is finishing matric, is going to university next year. I said, good. That's a very sensitive age. If you are busy screaming and shouting the way that you're doing, I'll run for my life. I'll change my surname. I said, if I'm at matric school, I have my friends. We have got their daddies, right? Who says, I love you, daddy? They can hug their children. They can kiss them, and I'm watching. And I know that at home I've got this aggressive father who's a scary man. What do you expect me to do? I'm having trauma. I'm asking myself questions every time. Why can't I just live in a normal place? Why can't I just have a good father like other people? I just wish the leaders in Zimbabwe can understand that principle. We're asking ourselves questions every time. We've got trauma. When we move around, and I can phone any politician in South Africa, and they're very respectful. But I can't even talk to politicians in Zimbabwe because they're going to be aggressive towards me. I can't even speak truth because they take it personal. But in my world where I am, we can speak truth and can be heard and be respected. It's a principle. There's nothing that can surpass that. You can't manipulate that principle. It's not possible. Zimbabweans are sick and tired of being in a space where they cannot be heard. Where it's just screaming, lying, oh, we are doing this, we are making big money, we have opened this, we have commissioned that business. But we are not involved in whatever you're commissioning. We don't even know what you are commissioning. Sometimes you just want to sit, we don't even know what minerals are you doing. What are you doing? We don't even have a clue because we are not getting involved in it. We just see people who are violent and aggressive. And I remember which interview that we listened to that the guy was saying, oh, that was Eddie Cross. Said people are being killed in those areas of mining. It's not an easy place. So how do you expect me as a Rumbi to go in there and say, where do I start? When there are these aggressive men. Someone was laughing today on Twitter. When there was a picture of Wikino Shivayo, there was, what is the other guy for that one that grabbed the Mavuku Tafara? What's his name? The one that grabbed the Mavuku Tafara? And there was Machakaire, sorry. And there was another man as well. All of them are in ZANU-PF. And we are hearing that they went to open a business. This business seems to be benefiting Zimbabweans. It's food, whatever it's called, food, Champion Foods. And people are asking, was this a ZANU-PF meeting or it was a government? Because if it's a ZANU-PF meeting, fair play. But if it's a government staff, where are the other people that are not in ZANU-PF? Why is it, why is it everything about Zimbabwe is always about a few people from ZANU-PF? Guys, zvamuri kututa izvi izvi hapana kwazviri kukuendesa izvi. Mari dzamuri kutora hazina kwadziri kukuendesai. It will actually going to haunt your children. Maybe people are not telling you the truth. Mari dzamuri kutora zvichahonda your own children. As much as Zimbabweans can be quiet, trust me, there will be consequences in future. Definitely. Don't say that we didn't warn you. Because people have been asking me not to make these videos longer because I'm respectful. Some of them are, not all, because sometimes when we're having a conversation, they will be longer, whether you like it or not. It's in the evening because people are contributing and I have to be respectful. For that reason, I'm going to end right here, but I'm definitely going to come back. I'm going to make sure I'm updating you in a short clips, and while we're having a conversation. All I'm just saying is to every Zimbabwean, if you are supporting wrong, there will be consequences. Not from me, who am I? But God will make sure that you pay for your evil deeds. So yeah, all I'm just saying right now is, I just wish my brother, Savior Kasukuwere, can actually see now that, and he has been really, confirming that I wish we could have done differently before. We have realized that our actions had a high, really deep consequences. And we can see, because we are reaping the consequences today, we're still stuck because we build a culture of greedy, a culture of collecting, not a culture of sharing, not a culture of respect, that when people choose a leader, they must be respected. If that leader fails, let it be on them to impeach him and look at another leader. But don't force on people. Like I told you, we're going to be looking at this, what we just said, this morning, that maybe the intention is to change the constitution, that people don't have to vote, but rather the parliament will vote. I mean, it makes a lot of sense considering that people were recalled, and so it's only ZANU-PF in parliament, so they can only endorse themselves. But again, we need to get to a point where we start stopping abuse. The problem in our country is abuse of people. I don't even want to hear about human rights or in all manner of nonsense. It's abuse of forcing people to believe in a lie. I'm becoming emotional because nothing that runs down a person like forcing them to believe in a lie. It hurts me because when I look at Zimbabwean men today, they're no longer the same majority of them. Because you take away the power that men should have in society to build very strong homes. There have been men who took it upon themselves to take away the power that builds strong communities because of greedy. And today, we can see families are being torn apart because of abuse. You don't force people to do what they don't want. If whatever that has been put out is true, if it is true, it's wrong. And I pray it won't happen. I pray it won't happen. I pray it's not on the cards. I pray it's not on the cards. Zimbabweans have the right to choose their leader. Zimbabweans, all Zimbabweans across the board have the right to choose their own leader. And bear in mind, when they choose their leader, they never say they hate their brothers. No, they have the right to choose their own leader. With those words, I'm going to end right here. We have the right to choose our own leader. I love you all. May God bless you, and may God bless Zimbabwe. Bye for now.